Well, I'm sure Tonette and Elena and Shay have been able to contribute to this along with the fellows, but from a Black woman's standpoint, it's been very difficult. I mean, naturally, being Black in America is not the easiest thing to do, but oftentimes we do it well. Um, and we excel despite our circumstances. And the main thing that has just been keeping me encouraged is just remembering that, if we don't give up, that God is going to deliver us, from our strife and our struggles and our suffering. But the main thing is that, we can't just sit back and wait for him to do it. We have to put feet to pavement and we have to do the work ourselves, and instead of just waiting for something to change, we have to, demand that it changes. And so, although I cannot, physically participate in the protests and, all of that stuff, my heart is with them. And more importantly, I have always believed in the collective striving of our people and, all the various forms that takes in getting to, the promised land of freedom, so to speak. So we've come a long way, just over the years, over the decades, over the centuries, but we have so far to go. And it's going to take all of us, not just Black people, but it's going to take white folks and Latino folks and Asian Americans and, even folks in the various diasporas across the globe. Is not just a domestic issue anymore. It is very much so a matter of international importance. And I think as time goes on, we're going to continue to see that play out. So, just generally, as far as my personal health, I've not been well, just to be completely honest. I've had, a lot of days struggling just to focus to do my job because, I'm so kind of worn out from the emotional labor of, seeing what's going on in the world and then trying to, put on a face as if I'm okay when I'm really not. And I think everybody can can speak to that in their own way, in their own experience during this time. And it's not made any better with the pandemic going on. So, we've got work to do, but I'm encouraged that, we'll get there.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy AKJ coming to you live with a all new episode, and this is a special one for me. This is the people you see now are the people who have influenced my life tremendously, and they actually still are influencing my life. So this is the SGA Presidents, HBCU SGA Presidents from the 2014-2015 school year, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, going on the line. No particular order, you can just hop in.
I'll start. Hi, everyone. My name is Dorian Davis. I'm originally from Raleigh, North Carolina. I went to North Carolina A&T State University, and now I currently live in Washington, D.C.
I'll jump in. What's up, everyone? I am Darren Dubose. I'm originally from Alabama. I currently reside in Houston, Texas, and I'm currently an educator.
How you doing, everybody? My name is Sidney LaBeouf. I'm a graduate of Prairie View A&M University. Currently, I am in Alabama, originally from Ames, Louisiana. But right now, I'm in Alabama and currently work in construction management.
Hey, everyone. I'm Shay Parnell. I graduated from Middle State University. I currently live in Georgia. I work in higher education, student affairs at Middle Georgia State.
Alrighty, I'll go next. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Elena Stovall, originally from Detroit, Michigan, by way of Atlanta, Georgia. And I graduated from Savannah State University with my bachelor's in political science, and I am currently in the DMV area, and I am a youth development program coordinator.
All right, I got one more person.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Tonette Graham, a proud alumna of Florida A&M University. I am from Tallahassee, Florida, a third-generation Rattler, and I currently work in public policy as a healthcare public safety lobbyist.
Well, I want to thank everybody for joining me today. Thank you all for being patient, because we had some little mix up. But we all are in different parts of the country, and we have just experienced the murders of several Black men, and like the abuse of Black women, too, with on the hands of the police. And also we have experienced like lynching from who knows, God knows who. And us being young African Americans, and us being leaders in our community, I wanted to get you all's insight on how you all felt and what you all thought, when you saw this stuff in the news, even in firsthand. I'm starting with Darren.
Thank you for putting me on the spot. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm just thinking that like this is not anything new, right? Like I know when we were specifically in school, I remember being like a sophomore when Trayvon Martin, freshman and sophomore, but just remembering like what was going on, and I think like this time has allowed me the time to actually dig into the literature to see like what authors are saying about this, to be able to like know how to move forward. So definitely it has been a lot, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, just because like being able to see like a life taken that like you specifically identified like this person can be snatched and taken at any given moment has been really, really difficult. But I also think that through this moment, we're seeing like a lot of positive things. And so I'm like optimistic and, in the sense of that. And so not anything new, because we've been dealing with this since 1619, right, as Black people. But I think that, we are like working towards making sure that like we can finally be liberated in a sense.
I agree with that. Anybody else want to hop in there?
Yeah, I can jump in. So Darren is definitely right. And I think one of the things that we're dealing with and that we're seeing now is, what does the health of Black people look like? And I think that health is becoming a big conversation, whether it's physical or mental health for Black people. So physically, we see how the healthcare systems don't support us as Black people, not just the systems, but also just the infrastructure of healthcare. So whether it's with coronavirus or any other thing that's going on, and also the economic health. So how coronavirus has also affected, unemployment, and how that's had a desperate impact on Black people. But then also we have the mental health through seeing these killings, watching them, Black girls going missing, what that does to Black women, and the lack of support that Black women get. So it's definitely a lot that's happening. And I think as Black people, we always somehow persevere or overcome or make it through. And we have this notion that, we'll be okay, or everything will be all right. And I think that one thing that our generation is doing is saying, okay, like that's great, but we shouldn't have to always overcome. Let's really attack these obstacles head on. Let's attack white supremacy head on. Let's attack all these things, the police head on. Let's talk about not just defunding, but abolishing. And looking at these things, not that generations before didn't do that, because they definitely did. But I think for us, we're definitely, we're looking at things through a view of how are we going to make things different for those who come after us. And I think we see a lot of that, whether it's people in the streets or people in policy trying to make things happen, people speaking out. So I'm definitely happy to see that we're fighting. But we definitely have to continue to call truth to power with what's going on out here.
I definitely agree with that. I'm going to put a pause on the conversation. We have two new participants. We have Nicholas and Olivia. We did an introduction review. I want to introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, so I guess I'll go first. Hi, everybody.
What's going on, Liv?
Hey, how you doing, Olivia?
Good to see everyone again. I'm Olivia Sedwig. I am the 2014-2015 SGA president at Winston-Salem State University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. After I graduated from Winston-Salem State, I went on to University School of Law in Washington, D.C. Now I currently live in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I am clerking for a federal judge. So my clerkship wraps up in August, and I will be moving to Baltimore, Maryland, to begin a one-year fellowship as a civil rights appellate advocate for the Public Justice Center in Baltimore.
Wow. Congratulations. Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
So Olivia, we was just talking about how we've been affected by like what's been going on like currently in the country, like with COVID and the killings by the police and just being Black in general in this country, and how you've been dealing with it and how you feel, especially coming from a black woman.
Well, I'm sure Tonette and Elena and Shay have been able to contribute to this along with the fellows, but from a Black woman's standpoint, it's been very difficult. I mean, naturally, being Black in America is not the easiest thing to do, but oftentimes we do it well. And we excel despite our circumstances. And the main thing that has just been keeping me encouraged is just remembering that, if we don't give up, that God is going to deliver us, from our strife and our struggles and our suffering. But the main thing is that, we can't just sit back and wait for him to do it. We have to put feet to pavement, and we have to do the work ourselves, and instead of just waiting for something to change, we have to, demand that it changes. And so, although I cannot, physically participate in the protests and, all of that stuff, my heart is with them. And more importantly, I have always believed in the collective striving of our people and, all the various forms that takes in getting to, the promised land of freedom, so to speak. So we've come a long way, just over the years, over the decades, over the centuries, but we have so far to go. And it's going to take all of us, not just Black people, but it's going to take white folks and Latino folks and Asian Americans and, even folks in the various diasporas across the globe. Is not just a domestic issue anymore. It is very much so a matter of international importance. And I think as time goes on, we're going to continue to see that play out. So, just generally, as far as my personal health, I've not been well, just to be completely honest. I've had, a lot of days struggling just to focus, to do my job, because, I'm so kind of worn out from the emotional labor of, seeing what's going on in the world and then trying to, put on a face as if I'm okay when I'm really not. And I think everybody can can speak to that in their own way, in their own experience during this time. And it's, it's not made any better with the pandemic going on. So, we've got work to do, but I'm encouraged that, we'll get there.
On that, I had a question for you. Since you are in Florida, it's a spike, in Florida. How is it really affecting the African American community and where you're at?
You referring to coronavirus?
Yes, ma'am.
The protesting.
Are both, actually.
Here, yeah, it has definitely been a spike. Our Florida Department of Health Deputy Secretary is an African American woman, and she has made it her business to put testing sites and resources in our respective rural counties and urban areas so that our communities can have those resources. But as Olivia and Dorian said, these were issues that we encountered as a people before the coronavirus came about. Our folks have always had to struggle. We've had a lack of resources just on the different sides of town. So the coronavirus, in my opinion, is just bringing these things to the forefront, and it's requiring us to educate ourselves, make sure that we get our folks out to go vote, and that we put pressure, as Liv said, pressure to the pavement. We need to vote, but we hold our political leadership accountable. They can't just have our vote. They can't just use us and take advantage of the Black people. we need the same resources that everybody else needs. Black lives didn't start just mattering back in February when all of this kicked off. We have always been an issue. America wouldn't be here if it wasn't for us. We wouldn't be at HBCUs and be where we are today if it wasn't for our ancestors and forefathers. So this isn't nothing new. It's just challenging us to work a little bit harder to get to the end result. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in years. We just have to stay dedicated and keep working towards progress.
Yeah, of course. And Elena, when you're in Atlanta, correct?
No, I'm actually in the DMV area.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what's that again? Because I'm not particularly.
DC, Maryland.
Oh,
Virginia.
okay. I got you. I want to move on to a different topic. I want to do some more, happier. When we all were SGA presidents, because hold on a second, before we get happier, we all were SGA presidents when the Mike Brown situation happened. And I actually, it happened in my city when it actually happened. So I wanted to know, on your campuses, how was, it received, and how did it affect your campus? I'm gonna start with Sid.
First and foremost, I would say for me, I hate to say it, but kind of like another day, because we see this all the time, and it's not something that any of us want to see or experience, but it was something that I was having conversations with our administration about, just seeing, what can we do from afar, and also having that conversation with the student body. And I know in a few cases we were engaging with our local authorities. We have police on our campus, and so just doing what we can to have forums and have that conversation about what can we as young Black adults do to protect ourselves from being in situations like that, and also to have that rapport with the local officials to be sure that they are comfortable with us. None of us walk out with the intention to scare anybody or frighten anybody. Sometimes it's just average encounters that turn into negative situations for us. But I know I'm a big J. Cole fan. I know J. Cole was active around that time. He was there in St. Louis, and also, he put a song out around that time as well in response to that situation. And it was something that I was bringing to the administrators to let them know, although, a lot of our administration was older, although J. Cole is a rapper, and that, or being a rapper may be perceived a certain way by the older generation, this is somebody who is taking on the issue and trying to speak out about it and be free and express himself in different ways. And that's also the type of things that we as a young group need to see on our campus. Maybe if we can in the classrooms from our teachers and our professors and stuff like that. And so I was letting them know, like, this is the type of stuff that we need to see in order to get the students more engaged. And I think as a result of that, we started to see more younger people be represented in events that we would have where people would come and speak on our campus. And so that was unique to see, but at the same time, it's been tough seeing things like that take place throughout the world just over time.
Shay, what happened on your campus when the Mike Brown situation unfolded?
Well, for us, our police department was always heavily involved with SGA. So we started having critical conversations with the police. We called it coffee with a cop. And basically, what I remember taking away from that conversation is how to be safe when you're interacting with the police. But also a conversation that kind of spun from that is why do we have to be safe when we're having a conversation with the police? Nobody else is having this conversation across the world. We as Black people are having these conversations at our institutions because we're in danger because of the police. So that was basically the start of that. And we took a more educated route, I guess you could say. We did know your rights, know what to do when you get pulled over, just to make sure you're in right. We even got the little holders at the time. You kind of stick your phone on them. So you can record what's happening, the interaction that's happening with your police. And we gave them out to students. But still, the thing that was playing in the back of our heads, we really have to do this to be safe with the police. So that was kind of our reaction to Mike Brown. And then, of course, the media they always flock to us when something racial happens because we're an HBCU in the deep South. So that was basically our campus response.
Elena, what happened on your campus?
Same with Jernisha and Sydney. We held multiple forums in regards to public safety, how to conduct yourself or to avoid certain situations with the police. I know with my campus, we actually had a protest throughout the city of Savannah that was organized through CAP and SGA as well to give our students and our community an outlet to voice their opinions and themselves in a safe manner, because around that time a lot of protest was erupting, and we basically led our campus to assist them with getting their point across with the Savannah Police Department. I know we've had our interactions with the police department in Tybee, because we sit on the borderline of Savannah as well as Tybee Island, which is a different city. So as a campus, just giving our students the resources to handle any situation, whether it's mental, physical, and emotional. So,
well, my experience was completely different. Seeing that it actually happened in my city, and at that time, I remember, because I think it happened in August. I remember exactly where I was and when I heard the news. But our response was different. We had protesters from like all sides that I had to deal with, and I remember going to Ferguson the night that the governor had pulled back the National Guard. That's the night I had went. I wasn't intentionally, going because, he pulled back the National Guard. I was going to go any night, but the director of the dorm, Sean Baker, who's the dean now, and his name is Justin, but he's passed on. He was shot and killed, I think a couple of months ago, in around October. I might have the date wrong, but he was shot and killed. We had went down to Ferguson, and I had experienced everything, and seeing, just being, I've never seen that before, in my life. I've never experienced, something like that before, and I would like to know, and then I got a chance to talk to the governor, about his actions and what he did. It was awkward. It was at the governor's mansion. I was like the only black person there, and everybody else was white, most likely Republican. Doesn't matter if they were or not, but it was awkward, being able to defend the people that I represent, in my city, to the governor, who took 13 minutes to answer my questions, and he looked nervous. He turned completely red and he was sweating. But what was you all's first experience, with the protest and just being the SGA president at the time, where the country has been in turmoil, and what was your experience like? Because the people who came before us didn't have to experience stuff like this, besides Trayvon Martin. But when we got Mike Brown, it was a whole nother world for me, at least. I want to know about what about you all. Well, I'm gonna start off with Darren.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think one thing I'm thinking about in terms of this, so I got my master's from Texas A&M, and I think all the time that it just makes me think about how blessed I was going to Alabama State, just being around Black people. And so I think that, HBCUs, in my opinion, are heaven, right, to Black people, because it's an opportunity where we can feel safe and we can have these conversations. And so I think that while I was at Alabama State and as president, we were doing all of the things that were happening in the world, right? We organized the protests on campus. We had the conversations, and we did know your rights. We were doing all of this stuff, right? But once we walked away from 915 South Jackson Street, our entire reality had shifted and had changed. And so I think that one thing that I'm really, really grateful for, just even throughout this time, is that HBCUs, and I'm just hearing it from everyone that is speaking, how that it really provides us with this safe space to be able to be Black and to be able to show up in to be able to like question, be able to learn who we are. And so I think like ultimately that we did all of those things that I like now reflecting back, I'm like, wait, we were doing this, but this was our first time actually like going through with that plan. And so, I mean, my goal is, I guess the reason why I brought up Texas A&M is because it was a completely different atmosphere, right? Like it was me conforming to like white supremacy and like all of this type of things. And so I think that, you know, ultimately like just creating that space for Black people to show up is very, very necessary, and it is required, honestly.
Darian, did you have what we had on my campus? We had a short rift between us and the protesters. At your school, did you have like any like type of rift between the protesters and your university, or was it cohesive the whole time?
Yep, it was very cohesive. I think everyone was pretty much on the same page.
Okay. I think that question was meant for Dorian. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
You fuse us together, it's okay. No, so on my campus, I mean, there was definitely differences, right? I mean, I think that people, different ideas of how we should handle this. And I think a lot of people, and I think that's the diversity of HBCUs, right? Like everybody doesn't have the same thought process, everybody doesn't come from the same places. So you have people who had never really known about police shootings or anything like that when it had been happening. I think Trayvon Martin originally was like kind of like the kickoff for a lot of people in our generation to kind of realize it and see it on the screen. But I mean, they were killing police before that, and it wasn't like it was like Rodney King was the last one back in the 90s. So, I think for some people when it came to like the protesting, there was definitely a difference. I remember having arguments. We were going to do a hands up, don't shoot at the December graduation. And I remember like battling with some of my SGA mates about the idea of that and people feeling uncomfortable doing stuff like that. And so there was definitely like different schools of thought on how we should engage and how we should kind of fight back against white supremacy. And that's why I'm thankful now the conversation is so different. I think that people in SGA leaders now, from what I've seen, especially at A&T, are a lot more open to being in the fight. I think definitely like before we had gotten, a lot of it was more still like the pop and circumstance, like really trying to just like show the SGA tradition and walking the track and all these different things. And, I think that we really, within our time span, and not saying just starting with us, but even like maybe a little before us, like SGA presidents really were kind of getting back in the weeds of getting in the community and fighting for justice and things like that. That's super important. And that can kind of get lost at HBCUs. And I think that we should be able to critique that too. Like I think, Adrian, you're talking about like administration. Like, a lot of administrators don't want to get in the fight. And I think that we should pressure HBCUs to be more community focused, to speak up and stand up and speak when against matters, and not just put out a blanket statement, because they're not politicians, and we need to keep them from being that.
Do we think that is it like and I'm not trying to say it's an ageism thing, but is it because of it's older generation, or because they just don't get it?
I think that plays a part in it, because now we're seeing everything on social media, and sometimes we get it before the officials that are higher up can actually have the chance to see that stuff, because we're constantly on social media. And I would say that social media was still picking up speed while we were in school, and now it's on a totally different level to where everything is coming to your phone as soon as it happens, and across the country, across the world, everybody knows about it. And because of all the eyes that are on things now, it puts that pressure on those officials to make those decisions, to be able to speak up and say things about it. Because if you don't, your silence is kind of a response. And you want to be able to address something, especially if you do have a stance on it. And then also, if you are having those conversations already with the rest of your administration, as well as between the administration and student body.
All right, let's move on to something that's more lighthearted. Let's go back to our day as as SGA president, and to some of our good memories that we have. I remember when it was it was the verdict had came out, and I'm not sure. It's so many that happened that I don't remember like which one it was, but a verdict had came out, and I remember my city had went into a whole riot where they was burning up cars and stuff like that. So what I decided to do, I had decided to put on social media was to I called for a prayer, a mass prayer in our dorm lobby. I didn't think that people was going to show up to it. I didn't really think. I thought I was going to wasn't going to do nothing, but it's actually a picture that's in the school now of the lobby just full of students in a circle, holding hands, praying, and that actually surprised me and shocked me that people, like they rather pray for the city than go out and just destroy it. So I thought that was good. So I wanted to get one of you all stories. It could be funny or it could be whatever. Let's start off with
probably one of my best memories, and this might be everyone's as well, would definitely be we was in DC. We all came to DC collectively. We got to hang out. Of course, but the first
for APAC.
No, that was
my favorite memories, because that trip for me has sealed like a lot of my friendships that I have now with my fellow fam. So that was one of my favorite memories. And then just the positivity from campus with the students. And I was the first female in over 15 years. So the support I received from my campus, from administration, previous SGA presidents, and just the community was overwhelming and super awesome to have. So I definitely hold a lot of memories near and dear, but meeting all of you all outside of NASAP is definitely one of my favorite, my top 5.
I remember Darren actually, I don't know if you remember this or not, it's a picture of me in front of the White House that you actually took. And it's been, everybody loves that picture. I forgot to bring that up, but you took that picture.
Yo, I need my credits, my guy. I need my credits.
Yeah, right. I need to find it again and do something with it. Did we all remember that that was actually a pivotal time when the APACs, that's when Netanyahu had came in town and went to Congress. That's legendary. Anybody else got any stories? Sid?
I mean, for me, I would just say APAC was a big highlight as well. I didn't get a chance to go to NASAP, so I didn't get a chance to meet everybody or the majority of us, the HBCU presidents, vice presidents, and everything at that time. So what's going on, Nick? Just going to APAC and being away from campus in the middle of the school year, that was a beautiful thing. And now I've seen, I think, everybody kind of outside of that one original meeting. And I'm pretty sure if I haven't seen you since that, I'll probably see you likely down the road at some point. So, that was cool. And there was a lot of highlights throughout that year. It's hard to put it into words sometimes.
It really is. Nick, you want to introduce yourself and, chime in on any topic? You on mute too.
Oh, I'm on mute. How's everybody doing?
What's going on, brother? Good to see you.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah, man. Good to see all of you all, man. Good to see all of you all, man. I always miss everything, but I'm always looking from the behind, man. So I'm always looking at everybody. I'm keeping up with all of you all. I'm seeing all the amazing things that you all are doing for your community, for yourselves, for the world, and I just love it, man. So don't think that I'm not around. I'm just looking from afar, man. So much love to all of you all.
Good.
Yes, sir.
You have any stories, about your SGA president years that memories that you want to share?
Yeah, definitely. So I didn't get to go to APAC. I didn't get a chance to go there. But a lot of you all, I met you all at NASAP. And so NASAP was one of my most memorable times. That's when I met you all, beautiful people. And, that's why we still have a tight bond today from NASAP. And I always remember how cool it was to go be amongst other Black leaders such as yourself. that we all were able to relate to each other's problems. We had a common belief in certain things, and we all had a love for our HBCU individually, and then just like I just love NASAP, man. It just allowed us to show our true colors. It allowed me to grow as a leader, man, because I was around so many powerful leaders. And after NASAP, I was able to take that energy I got from NASAP and lead the campus. I know my SGA year, it was definitely different because at the time, right before I got elected, or I think right after elections, the Greeks were put on moratorium. And that just took and it was right after I got elected. It was, I found out I won SGA president. Then it was Spring Fest and some things happened on the stage and they canceled us the day after. And so I would say for the first 6 months of my presidency, it was getting the Greeks back on campus. It was making sure we had Greeks for homecoming, for this homecoming step show. Definitely had more problems, but that was Greeks make the campus. And I was Greek as well, so that was very prevalent. And so that was just going back and forth between the students and administration to get the Greeks back. And we were able to get them back through a lot of work and a lot of speaking between them and me speaking to the student body. But it did take a lot of wind out my year. Also with the Michael Brown situation and just different things on campus. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. It made me better as a leader. The Greeks finally were able to come back on the yard, and we actually established a sense of unity amongst the Greeks at the time. So definitely like to see that. Got to do a couple of initiatives while SGA president, but I don't know if it's just me, but I always think about me. I wish I could have done more, and knowing I could have done more, so I always not use it as a regret, but more so a learning tool to get the most out of a year you serve, because the year went by so quickly. And I always just wish I had more time to put in certain initiatives and policies, but I just always just stress that to the person who wins president, that year goes by so fast, and just make sure you're clear of what your vision is and make sure your team knows what their vision is as well.
That's some powerful words there, brother. Before we close, one thing about my channel, I know it's short timing, but about my channel, one thing I want to do is our slogan is create, educate, and entertain. And the people I bring on my channel, I like for people to learn about them in a more deeper fashion. Like on my channel, I shared that I had went through homelessness for a year and a half. And then after that, I went through depression for another 2 years for that. Just getting myself out of it, really. And I wanted to, or maybe get two people to share, something that with them that maybe that when you were SGA president, even though that they saw you, were you struggling with anything, personally that people didn't see, or that you hid well?
Sorry.
Go ahead, Shay.
So I think for me, a lot of people didn't know this. I had a strained relationship with my mother at the time, but also during the time of SGA president, my mom actually went homeless. So that was kind of like a struggle for me because it was like, there was a lot going on at home. Trying to work at school, make sure I'm balanced in school, do my SGA duties, work a job. But in the back of my mind, family isn't together. But it all came together. So I'm a faith person, because if it had not been for the people that God has surrounded me with at HBCU, and that's what made HBCU different from any other school, I argue that to today. It's those people who came and prayed for me, my professors understanding that, hey, I have a situation. They know the type of student that I am, and they're being lenient. My advisor stepping in and said, hey, what do you need from us? Like, do we need to go grab stuff for you? Do you need stuff? I don't have a car, but I got everywhere I needed to be. I never like missed a beat, never missed anything because I didn't have a car. So I think my HBCU like experience, people wonder why I go so hard for Albany State. It's really the people that I got at Albany State. I got second parents at Albany State, a second family at Albany State. They really came in when the time I needed them to like really take care of me. They also kind of forced me to start opening up and being transparent about it, because at first it was like I wasn't speaking on it. As a matter of fact, my mom lost her house while we was at NASAP. So I really wasn't speaking on it. But it forced me to speak on it. It forced me to be like, okay, it's okay to need help. If you know me, I'm not like, I'm kind of prideful. If I need help, I'm not going to ask for help like that, depending on the situation. And it really forced me to say, like, it's people out here willing to help you, Shay, and sometimes you just got to open up to it. So that was my biggest overcome thing, why SGA. I hate that I'm trembling in the voice, because it's not that I'm sad. It's just like a prayer, like a praise moment for me, because it's like, God, you really showed out during that time, because I didn't know. I came home Christmas. I came home for Christmas break, and my mom had moved into a new place, and I was like, God, like, when we got to move out, you moved us in somewhere else. So it was perfect timing, and that was like the biggest comfort thing for me, but it also kind of drives the person I am today with my students. Just trying to make sure they're mentally okay, and they're together to make sure they're successful in school, or just like having critical conversations with them, and just like saying like, hey, good, are you okay? And I think that's part of the reason I love student affairs and working directly with college students, because it's like, it's a lot of stuff that we don't talk about as college students, especially for the Title I schools. That's your schools that have I don't even want to get into all that, but your Title I schools, they have a different demographic, and if they don't have a large support system, and they're not used to support or people pouring into them, or people trying to help them, people trying to get them to resources, because, hey, I got to pay it for it because somebody did it for me during my time of need.
I was just going to piggyback because I had something for the previous question, but it kind of ties into this. My personal kind of struggles and issues that I endured didn't come until the year after I became SGA president. And like, I went through a lot of different things, but I will say that I believe that my year as SGA president prepared me to go through those things. Just because there were so many things that happened, like many of y'all touched on the Mike Brown situation, like that happened for us even before the school year started. So, you know, I remember vividly the day that it happened, and we were all in the group chat, like, what are we going to do? How are we going to respond to this? And so that was one of the things that I love about being SGA president with you all, was because we understood that we weren't just experiencing this individually in a silo. You know, we had a whole network of SGA presidents to lean on and rely on. So knowing that I had, you know, Dorian right down the road, and, you know, Tonette down in Florida, and Shay down in Georgia, Lena down in Georgia, you up in St. Louis, Nick in Louisiana, Sid in Texas, Darren in Alabama, you know, we had people in DC, Maryland, we had folks everywhere. And so we were able to, you know, figure out what each other was doing and then go off of that. So like, a lot of people don't know that, you know, the hands up, don't shoot photo, you know, started at Howard. And as soon as he told it in our group chat, we were on it like wildfire. So that was a very interesting.
I'll pick up where she left off. I think that another thing, Olivia made a good point just about having that network and allowing all of us to kind of be together. I definitely benefited from having this network, like right when all this was happening. And for example, like in North Carolina, I can't remember 7 or 9 HBCUs, but we're one of the states like the most like just HBCUs in one area. And, you know, it was great to always have, whether it was Olivia or McKinley or Derek over at Central, like just having people that were close by so that we could organize. And just personally going on, like Shay said, like there was, I think literally all of us were going through stuff at the time. And when you have to be the face of a university, I was representing 10,000 students, but also representing administration and having to deal with that, and also representing the Black community of Greensboro, you know, and Greensboro was a very segregated city between East and West Side. So, you know, there was definitely a lot of pressure. And one thing, because I was dealing with depression, and that's actually when I started having some after I graduated from A&T and I went to grad school all the way in Indiana, I was secluded, all white space. And I started dealing with alcohol issues because of that. And it was stuff that kind of trickled in through leaving A&T and then kind of going into Indiana and kind of dealing with those issues, alcoholism and depression, that I was super grateful to still have my family there, because I know I leaned on some of you all to kind of just help me through those issues, and just always, not only being able to talk about, fun stuff, but also being able to have those real conversations of what we kind of deal with as Black people. So, this network definitely helped me. And I think, even for those who weren't in SGA, if you had to have a network of people that, aren't just in your city, but just like anywhere that you can kind of lean on, like definitely hold on to those, because even when we go through stuff now with, like we said, COVID, and kind of bringing us back to COVID and the protests and the killings, you need to have a tribe that you can kind of lean on and vent to, learn from, and just reach out to. So I definitely always encourage people to, have that tribe and build that tribe and create spaces where you can heal from whatever you're going through.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll go after you.
I just wanted to add, because I was unceremoniously interrupted. I wanted to add, particularly in North Carolina, we were not only dealing with, the police brutality issues, but we were also dealing with the voting rights issues, because North Carolina had just passed the voting ID law the year before. And so, we had been fighting that fight for at least 2 years, 2 years by the time we got into our presidencies. So in North Carolina, we were just worn out. And by the time, the year started. And so I think for us in particular, we kind of knew, like Dorian spoke of, being involved in the community and being a representative to the community. We always had conversations with the mayor's office, with the city council, and other people in the state legislature. We were able to do the HBCU North Carolina Political Action Summit that was hosted at Winston-Salem State, which was birthed out of the issues that we saw in the state of North Carolina, not just limited to the police brutality issue, but also about HBCU sustainability and funding around policing and the over-policing of HBCU communities around the voting ID issue. And so we were just consistently relying on each other for creative ways to respond to the issues that we were dealing with, but to do so with a focus on community, because we realized, particularly as HBCUs, we're not just, like there's a particular private university in the city of Winston-Salem that was transplanted from another city in the state of North Carolina. And, they think that they are God's gift to Winston-Salem. And so that year they were reminded what university was the city grown university in Winston-Salem, and what the impact of Winston-Salem State was to the community, and how important it was, that we were visible and that we were seen and that we were speaking out on those issues. For me as SGA president, I made sure that was one of the things that was a lasting impression by the time, that I left, was that folks knew who we were. They knew what we stood for. They knew what our impact was, and they knew that we were, beyond the fact that we had already been there over 100 years, that we were here to stay, and that our impact is long lasting, and that it cannot be replaced. It cannot be duplicated.
And I think you asked us about our SGA experience and personal issues. Mine wasn't necessarily personal. Mine was SGA and on the front line. And what I've learned through that experience is that sometimes God will knock you on your feet, take away all the people you thought were for you, so that you can learn and realize that Him for you is better than the world against you. And it also gave me this group and taught me that when you find your tribe, appreciate them and love them hard. I think I was the unique one in the group who was crazy enough to run for 2 terms as SGA president. I couldn't have gotten there without the endorsements and support of this circle of lifelong friends I gained from NASAP. But about 6 months after getting reelected as SGA president and becoming the first Black female student to serve on the State University System of Florida Board of Governors, I was impeached by my own. These same people who I thought were my friends, rolled for, ride or die rattlers, stabbed me in my back. So the Black girl who's from Tallahassee, where FAMU is, who was on the front of the Democrat being praised in May, was on the front of the newspaper being slain 6 months later. And that really just, it showed me that you're not going to be liked by everybody. And I wasn't used to that. I was always the one in school that everybody liked. I just always, always had friends. I had never really actually been through hate for real, and especially from your own people attending an HBCU until that experience. And if you Google me now, it still shows up. It also has the article clearing my name for the record. But again, it taught me that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and it makes me grateful to this day for my circle of lifelong friends of SGA Presidential that I gained from 2014 and 2015. That my moment of strength and struggle that grew and helped mature me into the woman I am today from my experience as SGA President.
Yeah. I can feel that. Just to answer the question. So Nick, I want you to know you're not the only one who felt like there was a lot more work to do. I remember the election for the 15-16 year was coming up. And in my mind, I was like, I've written down all this stuff that I want to do for this year. And I've knocked off a couple items. There's still stuff on this list that I want to do. Being in that position, I felt like I learned so much more, gained a lot more insight. Interacting with you guys and seeing what y'all were doing on y'all campuses, it got me excited to feel like I could do a lot more for my school. And I'm so passionate about Prairie View. I just felt like, all right, I still need to be 10 toes down, put more work in. And I wanted to take that next step and be back in office that next year. And so just throughout that year, it was always that challenge of balancing school and also being a leader, being a representative of 8,000, 9,000 students every day, and feeling like I have to push the agenda to get all of the students' voice heard in front of the administration. And I was a civil engineering major. And so my classes, they gave me the blues that year. And it was tough being able to balance class and being active, and also because I'm so passionate about my school, my university, and wanting to do the best that I can to always make sure that Prairie View is on the forefront of everybody's agenda, especially our administrations at times where, they may look at it from their standpoint rather than the students. Like just make sure I'm doing that. It was a constant battle. I got to run the class and do this real quick, but I know I got a meeting right after class, or sometimes I have a meeting in the middle of class, and you're having to figure out how to balance all of that. I don't think I had a night that ended before 11 p.m. Once I got out of the office, I was in the classroom, or I was in a group working on a project, something like that, up until almost midnight every night. And so that taught me time management a lot better than I ever thought I'd ever learn. It was a crash course on leadership and a lot of other things that I think that I utilize. I know for sure I utilize today in my current profession, and being able to interact with people, and just being more empathetic with other people's situations, because being one person that has to listen to so many voices, you have to be able to empathize with people in order to be able to put their interests at the best of your heart as well.
I do have to say I'm very envious of you all, because my experience of being SGA president was completely different from you all. I think you all were more grounded and more focused on improving like your schools. Like with me, this is the person I was back then. He was arrogant. I was there to make the job look good, because we were short on student leaders, and the only person who, you know, knew everybody and was like, was cooler was with everybody was me. And I was supposed to run for Mr. Harris Stowe. That was more my speed. That's more me. But me being in school, I was horrible in school. I was horrible, you know, in my fraternity. It was just, I was just horrible, just all around, just in that time period. Which is why I was saying, like, that's how I fell into my depressional period, because like everything had just, you know, fell apart in my life, and it was just all happening in that time period. And so that's why, you know, just listen to y'all stories of how, you know, you all worked so hard, you know, and running for 2 terms and talking to mayors and state representative, even though I know them as like personal friends in my city, but I wasn't doing that. And I should have been more, you know, in you all's, you know, brain, as like, hey, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? But I didn't, because I was too arrogant. So, so what Olivia said earlier about, you know, you had to fall. Yes, I fell. I fell pretty hard. And I fell 3 times actually. And now I'm back to where I am now. So I want to thank you all for coming on, and I want to thank you all for sharing your stories and, you know, and spending your time with us and having us learn about you. Does anybody have, like, you know, like closing, like, you know, inspirational words?
I just want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to come back and share our experiences. It's been 5 years for us. And right now it seems like a lifetime ago. So being able to relive some of our experiences, our stories, and share that with you has been a blessing. And I hope we get to continuously have these type of conversations and invite our predecessors to come on and encourage these type of conversations in the future. I'm sorry, I got a lot in my background right now. It's almost dinner time, so my process is about to cook dinner. So yes, I just want to thank you for sharing your platform with all of us. And yeah, I would love to do this again. Anybody else?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm gonna go down the line and say, you all, you know, tell your handles and, you know, any upcoming projects you want us to follow you at, or anything.
Okay, just closing out. It was good seeing everybody. I know we had a call about a month ago, maybe, that Shay put together. So I think we just need to continue to have calls like this, touch base with each other, especially with what's going on in the world, everything, COVID, just the injustices that we deal with. We need to continue to push the agenda, have conversations with each other, because we're all experiencing different things, dealing with different local, state officials and legislations, and being able to pick each other's brains and bring different ideas and experiences to our tables will be beneficial for all of us. So I think we just need to continue to interact with each other. And I love hearing from y'all. I'm going to say this, and I believe all of y'all are smarter than me. I'm not the smartest person. And, you know, they say to keep smarter people around you than what you are, so you can build yourself up. So that's where I'm at. On Instagram, Sais_Pac, Sais, SEIS_PAC. That's my Instagram. That's all I have. I'm not really a big social media person, but thank you for having me.
Thank you, Adrian, for hosting us this afternoon. This was fun. It was so good to see you guys. We're surviving COVID. We're going to make it through for the culture. My Instagram and Twitter is @TotallyTonette. Y'all be blessed.
I forgot who I said next.
It's me. So I just want to echo what everyone has already said. Thank you. It was great. I enjoyed it. For those who are interested or so inclined, you can follow me at Live Esquire. So that's LIVESQUIRE. I only have Instagram. I do not have Twitter. My Facebook is ultra private, so you can't find me there. And if you want, you can search me on LinkedIn if you want to connect in a more professional capacity. For those who might be watching that are interested in pursuing a law school journey, feel free to contact me. It is not an easy road, but it is a very doable road. So I'm extending myself. Please reach out. Let me know that you found me through this platform, and we'll, you know, get you squared away.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, So you can follow me on social media at it's just underscore Shay. That's Shay, SHA. Sid, be quiet. That's how I spell Shay. Sid has bothered me for years about spelling my name like that. I'm glad we had a chance to talk and connect. One thing I really want us to remember, like if it's shown to other people, we all got stories, and stories shape us differently. Adrian, you said something about your year not being like us. It's part of your story, man. It had to get you where you at now, and always remember that. But also, we're plugging a project. I'm about to launch my mentoring program next month, so I'm really excited about that. But it's called Diamonds in the Rough. It's for kids that are challenged within college and high school, taking them up under your wing and trying to get them on the right track, make sure they have something positive in their life outside of just derogatory remarks. So that will be dropping soon. But other than that, follow me on Instagram. You can find all my social media. It's just underscore Shay.
I'm not 100% sure where I fall on the list. So I am just going to jump right in. Just once again, stay blessed, stay strong, stay encouraged. Thank you so much. My Instagram is passion_XO, PASSION_XO. And if there's anyone who's in youth development work, grant writing for their community, definitely reach out to me because I look forward to connecting with whoever. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and jump. I think maybe it might be my turn. But my Instagram is dtdavis93. If you want to follow me, I am a communications consultant. So anybody who wants to get into comms work, any type of comms work, I also have a policy and nonprofit background. So, let me know. And actually, I'm really starting to work more in Black men and mental health. So sorting through trauma and emotional trauma. So if anybody needs guidance or anything to talk about in that way, I have resources for you. Or if you just need someone to connect with in that way, let me know.
Hey, man. Hey, again, I want to say thank you for just inviting me to come on. It's a blessing to see you all. Man, it's been such a long time since I've seen you all in person. But again, I'm always watching and always looking at the great things that you all are doing. So it doesn't seem like we have strayed too far apart. And I'm glad that we're still able to come and be together, even virtually. And so I appreciate it. I want to thank you all again, like through the years. Just like Sid said, I didn't always feel like I was the most well abreast on policy, or even in my leadership abilities. And I thank you all for allowing me to step up to the challenge to become a better leader, being in y'all presence. And I just appreciate it. Man, if you all want to, follow me at Ambitious Soul. It's _ambitious _. Also, I have a brand called Humble Takeover. If you have not heard about it, all our humble takeovers is our story. And so it's empowerment to live humble through your success and failure each and every day. And that's our humble takeover. You can follow my brand page at The Humble Takeover. And in the future, I would like to tell your stories and feature your stories on our page so the world can learn about us more and they can learn from our story. So as always, I pray you all well. Be blessed. Love you. Have a good one.
And Darren.
Yo, thanks again, Adrian. I think this was amazing. I'm thinking about like just the family that we've built here. It is very unique, and I'm just really, really grateful just to be a part of this family. And so like, thank you for everyone. Sorry, that's my puppy. Thank you for everyone over the years for like just being yourself and just showing up. And so I'm really, really grateful for that. I think, and so if you want to follow me on Instagram, I need to look at it, but it's ddubos. There's 4 E's at the end _. And so, but I also would like to plug a friend and I, we just launched a podcast today. So it'll be launching like later in the month. The name is Fitting the Description. So we're on Instagram, Fitting the Description _ in which we'll be talking about like how our different intersectionalities are stereotypes in America. And so super, super excited for that. So yeah, I'm so grateful for this family. This is not just a group. This is a family, and like y'all mean the world to me. So I appreciate this. And thank you again for putting this together.
I want to thank you all for coming on. Thank you all for a great episode. And Make sure y'all subscribe and like for all my new content. Thank y'all for tuning in for the AKJ Sunday Profile. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.
All right. Be blessed, everybody.